Joining us on this special report, South Dakota Senator John Thune. And Senator Thune is a member of the Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. Having this universal process right now on NIL, that's been a high priority for you and Congress. Is there a majority that wants to address this a specific way, or are there solutions on one side or the other? Or how is this dynamic right now?
Well, it's really, it's complex. I always say the genie is sort of out of the bottle on NIL. It's become a kind of a free market system. But I think you need to have some sort of rules of the road around it. So the athletes are protected. One of the things I've advocated for is a sort of uniform standard contract. So the schools, the parents, the athletes, the agents all know what the deal is. If you have an agent, for example, that says you hit the transfer portal, I'll get you an NIL deal on the back end, and then a lot of times doesn't come through with it. And the agents are making a fortune on this right now. In fact, they're making more in many cases than the athletes. So I think you've got to have, and honestly, the problem we have right now is 34 states have enacted their own NIL laws. And you take a conference like, and Summit League's a good example too, because it's a multi-state conference, but you take a conference like the SEC, where it spans 11 states. So every state in the SEC is now passing a law to give their state a competitive advantage when it comes to recruiting athletes. State of Missouri had a law took effect last July that says if you're a high school athlete and you declare to go to a university or a college in Missouri, they can start paying you in high school. So every state's going to be doing that. It's going to be kind of a race to the bottom, and that's why I think at some point Congress needs to step in and just create some transparency and some clear rules of the road moving forward. I think a uniform standard contract would be part of that, preempting some of the state laws. I think the question of whether or not you can have schools who hire student athletes as employees and create an employer-employee relationship, and then the unions come in and unionize the athletes, that's happening out there right now too. You just saw the announcement with Dartmouth. And there are others. State of California is litigating that issue.
Within that committee and within Congress in general, is there unison towards just trying to find a solution, or is it splinter at all in terms of trying to find a solution for this, or is everyone pretty much on board?
Well, it does splinter a little bit around the question of whether or not they ought to be, the athletes ought to unionize, and whether or not they ought to be an employer-employee relationship with the schools and the athletes. And what you heard when Charlie Baker was out here and we had the meeting at Augustana, we had a lot of student athletes testify. We had some of the, we had the athletic directors and presidents of some of the universities testify about what this would look like. And there was a real concern that if that became the model going forward, that you would really put in jeopardy a lot of the Olympic sports and Title IX sports. And it's just kind of the highest bidder. And that worries me for mid-major Division I colleges like we have here in South Dakota, Division I schools. And if they have to start hiring athletes as employees, are schools going to be able to maintain a lot of those other sports? So a lot of unanswered questions, which is why I think Congress needs to bring some clarity.
Well, Senator Thune, thank you again for giving us a little perspective from Washington on this
Thanks,
obviously rapidly developing situation. Thank you again for your time.
You bet. Good to be with you.
Just ahead, we're getting perspective from a longtime figure in South Dakota sports, former Jackrabbits head football coach Don Stiegelmeier weighing in after his lengthy coaching career.